Move now to Cape Town, and the fourth population census in democratic South Africa kicks off this evening. The first batch of field workers will be heading out onto the streets of the mother city. Monique Mortlock is standing by at the Cape Town Convention Centre. Hi Monique, so tell us exactly what is happening tonight with these field workers.
So where I am right now, I'm at the Cape Town Civic Centre, where a program is expected to start shortly. We know that the Stats SA, the various directors from Stats SA, they are currently meeting with the Western Cape Premier, Alan Windey, as well as Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis, will also be attending tonight's program. It will be a brief program just explaining why census is important and the fact that this is the first digital census, or the first time that the census will be conducted digitally, as well as we know it, with those field workers going to homes and in the streets physically. After this program, we will then be heading out into the streets with those field workers, who will then be visiting homeless people wherever they may be, whether it is under bridges, living on the streets, in front of shops. And the idea is that tonight, on Census Night, before census really takes off from tomorrow onwards through to March, is that tonight the field workers will be tackling the transient population, and those are South Africans who are living in communal spaces like your prisons, your hospitals, your old age homes. But also a little later tonight at about 9 o'clock, we will be joining Minister in the Presidency Mondli Gungubele, who will also be joining Stats SA field workers as they will be getting or counting South Africans or people who will be leaving South Africa, and they will be catching them right before they are expected to depart South Africa. That will be at Cape Town International Airport. So quite a busy night tonight for the hundreds of field workers across Cape Town who will be venturing out. It's a bit of a rainy night here in Cape Town tonight, and we will be seeing them or joining these field workers as they will be counting the homeless population and those at the Cape Town International Airport right before they leave South Africa.
So what about people who are in the country without proper documentation, for example? They might be frightened to be counted, but count them we must. What are the plans around that group of people in this country?
That is something that we'll be discussing with Stats SA, because this is something that we've heard from some people living on the streets, those fears of, but we don't have our documentation. Some people are from other countries, especially here in Cape Town, in the CBD, not too far from where we are right now. There's a camp of people from other countries who've been living there for a couple of months, actually since the pandemic hit them and they lost work or they lost their jobs in the country, and their fear is that the census might be a way for them to be targeted. But this is something that we'll be speaking to Stats SA Director Mahir Hattas about a little later. As I mentioned before, they are just in a meeting with the Premier and with the Mayor right before this program is expected to start. Another fear is the safety issue, and that's something that we'll also be speaking to Stats SA about. And it's also one of the reasons why many South Africans might opt for the digital aspect of the census, where they are able to fill in that questionnaire online, either with the help of a field worker over the telephone or online, and households can register for this option if they don't want a field worker to come to them. Stats SA has said that there are ways to identify a field worker, and the field workers will be wearing that branded Census 2022 uniform. They also will have identification on them with a picture of them, and people can also cross-check this on the Census 2022 website, where they'll be able to actually see if this field field worker that is showing the identification is the person that they say that they are, and if you see that this person's identification or their photo isn't on the website, then you don't need to answer any questions. And there's also a toll-free number that South Africans can contact. That's the Census SA Census 2022 toll-free number if they have any queries or any concerns.
All right, so a big outreach to try and count everybody. Monique Mortlock, who is in Cape Town waiting for the start of that official event. Thank you so much for that. Now,